Hello and welcome to the Authentic Wednesday podcast. Each week, my guest and I share our vulnerable behind-the-scenes stories of giving ourselves permission to take off our masks, let go of expectations, and embrace our own path of freedom and authentic connection. I'm your host, Bianca Hughes, a lover of authenticity and a licensed professional counselor in Georgia. Hello and welcome to episode 11 of the Authentic Wednesday podcast. As always, thank you so much for taking the time to listen to the podcast. I really appreciate it. I have a guest today and her name is Natalie Reid. She is from my favorite place, my birthplace, London, England. I'm really happy to have her. On the podcast today and share her story. Natalie is a yoga instructor. She's also a mother of two young, beautiful girls. She is passionate about sharing the benefits of yoga with all people, particularly young people. A favorite destination that she would love to go to one day is Bali, where she said she'd love to indulge herself in a yoga retreat. One of her favorite quotes is, "It's better to be prepared for an opportunity and not have one than to have an opportunity and not be prepared." Fun fact, she sucked her thumb until she was 17. Now that is a very fun and interesting fact. And we're going to learn so much more stuff about Natalie and her authentic journey. So let's go ahead and get into the conversation. Hello and welcome, Natalie, to the Authentic Wednesday podcast. How are you today?
Hi, Bianca. I'm good. Thank you.
So I want to share something with you guys. We just had fun trying to figure out all the audio. So I just had to remind her that's life and it's okay. But yeah, it took us about half an hour to get started, but it's okay. Right? Nothing goes right, but this is the Authentic Wednesday podcast. Natalie, oh my God. So I was seeing her, Natalie, and I was like, how long have I known you? Is it like 20 years?
Let me think.
Is it 20 years?
Yeah, easily.
Easy, yeah. 20 years.
Okay. Like a bit more. Yeah.
And I always try to
nuts.
Yeah. From dance class.
Yep.
Yeah, from dance class. But wait, we went to the same uni as well, right?
We did.
Yeah. But I think we
How do we forget things like that? Forgot about that little section of my life. Uni.
Yeah, uni. University of North London, although it's changed its name to Metropolitan now.
Yeah.
That makes us sound really old. But
No.
But yeah, we met first in dance class and we've just kind of maintained in contact. I always say it's good for like social media and Facebook to just kind of keep up with people and what's been going on. Natalie, I'm going to get her to share a bit, but she just has she's been doing yoga for a long time and she specifically does yoga for kids. But I think you've always been an entrepreneur at heart because I remember you did baking. She made these amazing cakes and then the yoga. So just tell us just about you and your journey into being a yoga instructor.
So, yeah, I think you're right about the entrepreneurial streak. And I think that started at school. Yeah. I was always like, how can I make money? How can I do that? Obviously, when I wasn't old enough to get a job, I used to make bookmarks out of my write-on magazines.
Wow.
Yeah. Bookmarks,
Yeah.
They wouldn't sell now.
No. No. I think, you know what? They still have bookmarks, but not as well. No.
I don't think bookmarks would be in much demand in schools nowadays. I think they're probably more into what can I get to pimp my Kindle.
I don't even know.
It's nothing to do with an actual book.
I don't even know if they use Kindle.
Yeah, I don't even know. Probably not. But in terms of yoga, I started practicing about 9 years ago. And it was just, I think primarily it was just for fitness. But ironically, I think the day that I started, I just received some bad news about a place on a PGC course, which I'd applied for. So this was something I'd been thinking about for a while. I was working in a school and I thought I'll go back and do PGCE. And the way that the application system works, you can only apply for the place if there's space on the course. And by the time I got my part of the statement back from my employer at the time, she was dragging her heels about. By the time I submitted it, it was too late. There were no spaces left on the course.
Oh my God.
I was totally gutted. And so my cousin said, come to yoga. Come on, you wanted to come. It was just after my 34th birthday. And I went along, and the tears of the morning, it was almost like it had never happened. And that was it. My yoga journey had begun. I felt so good when I came out. Yeah. And I've never looked back.
You haven't looked back.
Well, clearly I haven't.
So you was crying that whole day?
Yeah, I was so upset because I was like, writing a personal statement, it's like, that's so hard.
Yeah.
And I put my all into it, but I was waiting for somebody else in order to submit the application. So I was subject to their timescales. There was nothing I could do. And so, yeah, there was a lot of upset and disappointment that morning. But by late afternoon, I was cool again. I sweated my freshly relaxed hair out on the mat. And I was like, yeah, I'm coming again tomorrow. That was it.
What did it do for you?
I don't know. Almost like, I guess now when I look back, I realize it gave me clarity and it allowed me to just be in the moment, because obviously I was just enjoying the class and not worrying about what had happened or what was going to happen in the future. So yeah, I just literally embraced the feeling. It was hot yoga. I'd never really done yoga, to be fair. And so hot yoga, I was literally in at the deep end. It was great.
So you were able to be present.
Exactly.
Is that what you still find with yoga today?
Yeah, it brings you back in. So even on those days where I feel, I don't know if I can, like those, in those days you don't want to go to the gym.
Yeah.
You don't want to work out. You don't want to, and because you're like, I just feel too tired, or I feel a bit down, or I'm just not feeling it. But as soon as you do it, you feel great.
Yeah.
But you have to get to that point where you know that you should push yourself to go and do it. And once you go and do it, you're like, what was I waiting for? Why didn't I do that before?
Yeah. I do that. I often think about, I have to imagine myself how I feel at the end for me to do it, because the thought of getting out my bed and all that, like, where I live here, there is, in Atlanta, there's so many beautiful rivers and trails, and they're all beautiful.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
They're beautiful. But do you think I want to go to them all the time? No.
Oh, that's nuts.
Yeah.
Like, I would love that.
But, when it's at your fingertip, you're like,
it's very different, isn't it?
I'll go another day. Yeah.
Yeah.
I always like to ask my guests about, because, you're very being transparent and authentic. So what does authenticity mean for you?
For me, it just means being honest. If I'm being honest to others, it means I'm being true to myself. So that doesn't mean to say, being honest doesn't mean you just go and insult people. Some people think it means that. I'm just like, no, because there are ways of doing things, isn't there? And how to be with people. And so, yeah, I think it's about honesty.
Okay. How did you get there? Or have you always been authentic?
No, I don't think so. I think it's taken me a while to find me. And at present, I think being single as well has given me the time to find out more about me.
Oh, could you say that again, please?
Being single has given me more time to find out about me.
Yeah. There's this big stigma, especially for women, like, being single is a death sentence or shame and just all these negative things. People don't want to be lonely, and you just miss the beauty of it. So what did you find out about Natalie?
I found that I really enjoy my own company. Not to say that I'm a loner. I'm really not. I'm a true people person. I like people around me. I've always enjoyed entertaining people, bringing people round to my house, be in my space and spending time with them. But equally, I'm quite happy to say be in my home by myself, take myself out, actually been out raving on my own. I'm just like, that honestly was a revelation. And that was because somebody that was coming out with me, they had to cancel on me at last minute. And I was like, I had tickets for this gig. I'm like, I've got to go. I really, really wanted to go. So I delayed and delayed and delayed. And then I was like, no, do you know what? I'm just going to go. I'm just going to be brave and go. And so I did. I went out raving on my own. Twice. I've done it twice. So it's not something I do frequently, but I know now, because I've done it, if I have to go on my own, I'll just go, because I meet other people when I'm there. And that's all right. When you go to the toilet, You don't have to take all your mates with you. It's so refreshing. Like, oh, they want to go to the loo. I need to follow them. Then you have to trawl through the crowd. I'm like, oh, it's just me. I can go in, take my time. I can leave when I want to leave. Then I have to coordinate. It's great.
It reminds me of when I travel alone.
Yeah.
Traveling alone is great too. Like exactly for the same reasons. I can get there when I want, leave when I want, stay how long, don't have to worry if someone's being bored or like feel guilty because I'm like, I've had enough now. I just want to go chill, or if someone wants to be active, I could just do what I want. And I tell people, I remember my friend doing it and she was like, oh my God, why didn't I do this? I told her. And she's like, why didn't I do it earlier?
I told you about this.
I don't know why you didn't do it earlier, but it's the best thing ever.
Yeah, I'm still trying.
You still trying? You haven't done it yet?
Yeah, I have traveled alone, but then I met with someone when I was there. Like it's when I went to Brazil, and I knew a girl who was Brazilian, and I met her over there, and then she left. Then I met with her friends, and then another friend of mine was coming over from the UK, and then I met with her. We traveled somewhere. So yeah, it was very different.
Okay.
Part of my journey was by myself, which was interesting. So I enjoyed that.
That's good. Yeah, my first trip was to Barcelona, and then I think a few years ago I went to Dominican Republic. It was great.
Yeah.
It was great.
It is. It's so refreshing.
Yeah. So what's some of the things, one or two things that you found about yourself or you discovered about yourself during this time that's been interesting or surprising?
Since being single?
Since being single, where you said you found more about yourself. Mm-hmm.
I've realised that to make me complete, I don't have to be with someone else. I have to be with someone else. And I'm still now contemplating, do I really need to be with someone else? Don't get me wrong, it's nice to have company of the other sex, if that's your persuasion, it's mine. But, I don't really feel the need to like rush into something just because I'm by myself. I'm all right.
Right. Okay, cool. You don't need someone else to be whole. That's a big revelation.
Yeah.
Is that what you used to think?
Yeah, because I think that, even today I was just reflecting on someone that I know who, she's quite young. And actually a lot of people I know are quite young and they've married young and they've maybe not got kids yet, or they've got kids on the way and all of that kind of thing. And I'm like, I wonder why I never went down that road. Why didn't I get married? And and I don't know if I've ever really fully desired that. Maybe in the back of my mind, I romanticize about that kind of thing. But actually, I think it's all right to like be on your own, and actually it's okay. It's also okay to be in the relationship, the marriage, the partnership, whatever you have, and still be a whole individual. But I think it's as long as you know yourself, and it's also that whole thing of not relying on the other person to make you and keep you happy, but relying on yourself for that. Like, you have to be in a relationship, otherwise you're not happy. And I think I look at some people's relationships like, are you only in that relationship because you're too scared to be by yourself?
Were you ever scared to be by yourself?
No, I don't. Actually, I don't think I have. I don't really think so.
Okay.
I think I quite like the whole thing of being in a partnership, but I think this period of time now has made me realise, no, actually, I need to really vet who the next person is, which is why I'm probably still single, because I'm like, oh no, that won't work. Like I feel like I'm now become more picky, and then I'm like, okay, I'm just going to be single for the rest of my days.
Is it picky, or like, I feel like it's knowing what you want and what you don't want. I feel like before,
that's exactly what it is.
Yeah. Before I was personally just trying to figure it all out. And now it's like, I don't need to figure it all out. I already know for the most part. I don't know everything. Yeah. But yeah.
So you kind of know that what you want and what you don't want. And also there's that whole thing of, okay, because I have tried this like online dating thing. I haven't tried it. I was just looking, window shopping. And then I was like, oh my God. But if you're just walking past a shop, for example, looking into the window, you don't know how the fabric of that outfit is. Like, how do you know what it looks like on the other side just from the window? I'm like, I can't trust it. So I just locked it off.
Yeah, I've tried it.
I did.
I have.
I'm scared.
Was it Tinder swipe? What's that? My friends found when they treat that, trying to, and I said, fine, I'll do it. I just don't like it. Like I just knew it just wasn't for me.
It just feels very insincere. It's just not genuine because you don't like trust anybody. I'm like, can I even trust myself? Like, am I being honest? Like, and are they being honest? Are they who they say they are?
So does it feel inauthentic to you?
Yeah, that's why I just switch it off. I was like, nah.
I realized that I'm okay with meeting people online because I've met some great people online, like business-wise, social media. But I feel in those situations, I built a relationship. Maybe we've commented in each other's posts.
Exactly. That's very different.
Shared stuff. So, you've got that introduction to them. And I'm definitely that person that I think one of my friends said it is that with online, and trust me, I'm not knocking online. We're just talking about what works for us. I think with online, you're going straight into the relationship part.
Yeah, because that's what you're looking for.
Yeah, that's what you're looking for. So I think someone like me, I need to be warmed up. Like that is just overwhelming for me.
Yeah, that's what I felt.
Mm-hmm.
I was really overwhelmed by it. I was just like, oh no.
And I always say each to their own because I know people who've got married. So I know a friend.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's just not for me.
They met on Tinder.
I feel like I need to see the person in the flesh. But like you're saying, I've met people online, predominantly like females, and because we're into similar things, maybe it's through yoga or whatever it might be, we're on the same like mums group or whatever, and I've maybe met them, like I met my nail lady that way and we've become friends. It's great.
Yeah, but I just think the agenda's different. So there's less There's less pressure. Like I do assist a siesta with Jasmine. She started and I co-facilitate it. And I met her online. I've DM'd her and it's like, hey, let's meet. And then she's like, hey, you want to do this? And I was like, sure. And it's been going for like 2 years. But we always talk about the DM. I slid in her DM.
It's funny.
But we have a great relationship. And a great, partnership and all the things we're doing. So it works. And I think without the pressure, definitely without the pressure.
Exactly.
It's so funny. But I guess the other thing in asking that I've heard you talk a lot about your support circle and realizing how much community has been important to you, discovering more than who you are. Well, shall I say not more about who you are in a community, obviously outside of your family.
Yeah. Because
I'm totally with you. Sometimes it's not always possible to do it within your family. Tell us a bit more about how that's working for you, your community.
So I guess like my community is like my little yoga community, and it has evolved. And I think it's always evolving. And so I started out in one particular studio where I met most of my like yoga friends, and we had this little yoga circle. It was like a little yoga bubble, all of us in this little yoga bubble. And we'd go out, we'd have like little socials and all this kind of thing. It was really nice. And then obviously things happen. Maybe people move away. Some of them went off to go and qualify as teachers. So they went off abroad, did training, taught in other countries, and obviously that split the group slightly. But we all still had our other friendship groups. But I think over the period of time that I've been doing my training, so starting off with my children's training, then the teenagers training, obviously you meet other teachers or other people that are training to be teachers, and what happens is you make new friendship groups. And then for me as well, I think I was working part-time in a local shop when I lost my job on maternity leave.
What? They got rid of you because you were pregnant?
I was working somewhere. I'm not going to go into much detail. I was working somewhere and I had Noah, my youngest, and I'd lost my job on maternity leave whilst I was on my maternity leave. So I wasn't pregnant. I'd already had her. I'd gone for like a back to work meeting. They said, oh, but I thought you were thinking about leaving anyway. I was like, oh, I could have sworn that was a private conversation we were having. Anyway, they did me a favour because I'm here now. I'm where I am. And that's how I look at it. But in the interim, I worked covering ironically a friend's maternity leave in this little shop. And from there, because it was local to my eldest's school, the younger one's nursery, there was this like little community hub of mums that would come into this shop. And so, because I like talking, I like my own company, but I like talking a lot. So this podcast thing is like right up my street. Yeah, so they would come into the shop and I would recognize maybe some of them from the school, maybe from the nursery, just locally, because I would obviously always be at the supermarket or the local shops. And so I'd always be seen in the local area. And eventually some of us became friends, or you would just see, the regular customers. And from there, I managed to find that one of the parents was a graphic designer. And so when I was talking about what I'm doing, like I'm going to build this yoga business and I'm looking to make some leaflets, for example. And she said, oh, well, such and such is a graphic designer. You should go and speak to her. So we had a meeting. So I knew this lady, like from the school playground and just from the local shops. And she happened to be the lady that designed my posters, my leaflets and all of that. A local mum. So I was like, I never would have known that. But then they would have never known that I needed that had I not been telling them. And then another mum, also from the same school, our daughters used to go to the same gym club. And she came into the shop, overheard me talking to somebody else about, oh yeah, I need to build my website. And I've no idea. Because I was on a really low income. And so I was like, I'm probably going to have to do it myself. I was trying to get my teenager to design it. And she was like, oh, I might be able to help you with that, because I'm just starting out doing this business and we can probably help each other out. I was like, okay, cool. And there you go.
So, you said some really, really good things, which I share with people and talk about. And one of the things I've realized this year is continually talking about my business, even to like everyday people.
Yeah, because you don't know who's going to need or be able to do something to help.
Yeah. And it's not even it's just sharing what you're doing. I just felt like sharing and then being interested in what other people are doing, because, I always felt like, well, am I selling or being sleazy? But I just realized that as much as I share, people's like, oh, did you do this? Can I help you with this? And then it's interesting you said on, being a mom on a low income and still starting your business, because people even without kids, but who are definitely on a low income, feel like they are stuck in this spot. And the mindset is, well, I'm on a low income. I'm a single mom. Who's going to take care?
Yeah.
I can't do this. But yet you did it.
Yeah, it's because it's so easy to talk yourself out of it.
Mm-hmm.
But for some reason, and even to this day, I still think, why was I not worried? I think I was. There was still a little bit of that doubt and worry, like a bit of concern as to how am I going to survive feeding my 2 kids, paying my bills and all of that. But I'd already planted the seed. I'd gone and done the training.
Mm-hmm.
I managed to pay for the training whilst working part-time in retail. I never thought hold on, did you work at Harvey Nichols too?
No, I worked at you worked at Harvey Nichols. I worked at Marks and Spencer's.
So when I was at Harvey Nichols...
Yeah, you was a bit of a touch up, from me. It's okay.
I never thought I'd be going to work back into retail. Because I was a young person then. And I was like, no, don't do that as an older person. Because I thought there was some kind of a stigma attached to doing that after having done all the things that I have done. But I was like, no, do you know what? This works for me because it fits in with my life, what I'm doing. And so there was that little bit of doubt. But I'd done the training and I managed to pay for the training whilst doing network marketing. That paid for my training. Selling makeup paid for my yoga training, my first yoga training. I would never have believed it.
Wow. So I
don't even know how I did it.
But
seriously.
So now that you're talking about it, I guess you're thinking about, how did I do that?
Yeah.
Because I think, you know what, if you think about it, and you sit, like you said, and you ponder it, you're less likely. Like,
of course.
It took, 5 years maybe after I was like, I cannot believe I moved and I left London and came to live in America. Like, it took 5 years to register what I did. If I registered what I did before I left, I would never have left. Like, I know that for a fact.
Because we're so good at talking ourselves out, like, oh, this is not going to work because of this. But I think there was just this tiny seed that said, no, I'm going to make this work. Because I always thought, if I'm already on a low income, it can't get worse than this, surely. That's how I thought. I was like, no, it can only get better. And you know, some people that I spoke to, because I didn't talk to a lot of people, by this stage, I realized talking about it was never a good idea.
Okay.
Like in terms of your plans, I stopped talking about it. I just didn't share so much. And even now, I'm even not guarded, I'm just cautious. And I'm like, okay, I don't need to share that. I'll keep that to myself. But I just knew it couldn't get worse than what it was. It can only get better. So some people are like, you're going to still have to work part-time. You won't earn enough. I was just like, what do they mean? And I think those are the people they're the ones that are scared to take the leap. But I was like, I've got nothing to lose. I actually got nothing to lose.
Do you find that this is one of the things I love about America? This is a plug for America. Although I'm still biased over the UK. But anyway, it's 50-50. But do you find, I find that, like, I don't feel like I don't know if I would have got this far if I was in London, because the entrepreneurial spirit is not pushed as much or encouraged as much there in London as it is here in America, or shall I say in the UK? Or is it just our community?
Yeah, I see what you're saying, because actually if I think about it, not a lot of people do what I'm doing or have the courage to just go and do it. Yeah. I hadn't really considered it, I guess.
Yeah. Because I came here and it was like, especially in Atlanta, it's like everyone had a second hustle. Like, that's just the norm.
Yeah.
Like, they worked full time and had a second hustle. Everyone wasn't necessarily a full-time entrepreneur.
Yeah.
I don't know. See, I don't know if I don't know anyone who doesn't have a second hustle. That's very hard for me to find.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah.
I've blatantly got a second hustle. It's important because, like you said, I used to bake cakes. That was like that wasn't really my main thing. I guess I was working. That was my side hustle. And now, when somebody brought to my attention that you should be teaching people how to braid hair, I was like, what? I just thought that was something that I just did to plait my kids' hair. I said, I'd never really even considered it. I didn't even think that particular skill was something that I could sell. I wasn't even looking at it like that. But then when they brought it to my attention, I was like, oh, I'm onto something, you know? I could be giving, not just braiding hair, but giving tutorials, go to people's homes and show them how to braid hair. And it's happened. I said, yep, it's going to work. I'm going to do this. I got my graphic designer lady. Could you make me another logo? Done. And there you go. Started again with the next one.
Wow. See? Yeah.
And that was it.
Having the right people around you.
Yeah, always. It's so important. And when you've got the wrong people around you, run in the opposite direction.
I always took it away. And you'll know. I mean, I never, you have different people for different things.
Yeah.
But you definitely need like a set of entrepreneurial friends.
For sure.
You just have friends.
Or people with that similar mindset.
Yeah, it does make a huge difference. I think that once you, like you said, in staying true to yourself, then you tend to find people who will stay true to you and who you are, and also bring that out in you as well.
For sure.
I think that's cool. One of the other things you talked about, which I think you kind of just do naturally even now, is when you teach yoga. Well, actually, before I say that, let me see. You talked about low income.
Yeah.
Can you share what low income was for you? Did you did you have to choose to pay bills one month? Was there a lot of debt? How was that for you?
Okay. So just after I lost my job, it was coming up to, this is a story for you. It was coming up to Christmas, and I was like, man, there's going to be no Christmas. It's like a small baby. She's not quite one. She'd have been one the following February. And the eldest must have been 9, 8, coming up to 9. And I was like, oh my God, how are we going to get through this? This is a lot. So the low income part for me was not having the income from the job. Had I just started at the I'm not sure if I just started at the shop. I can't really remember, but I remember the build up towards that Christmas, that there was not very much food. When I think about it, like, it was dire. And on a couple of occasions, I remember just sitting across the table from the kids, watching them eat, and like, "Mummy, are you not going to eat anything?" And I'm like, "No, I'm all right." Or those evenings where it was just rice with butter.
Wow.
Yeah. And I remember there was this competition on the radio. I was always one for like a radio competition. And there was this competition where you call up and you just had to say stop when, you hear these bongs. They make a sound, and then you have to say stop before you think it's going to come in. And then they tell you what increment of prize you've won. And I remember calling every single morning after dropping my daughter off to school, hoping that I would get through. And I couldn't get through. And then there was one morning, I remember I was in the car park at the supermarket, like, oh my God, I'm going to get through. Like, God only knows how much my phone bill was going to be. But I wasn't thinking about that. I was thinking, if I win, then I can pay the phone bill. So I'm calling, and I nearly get through. I can hear just like, you figured out when you should call to get through. And I must have just missed it. I was gutted. I remember being in tears. I didn't get through. Like, I wanted it so badly. But then I think later on that week, I tried again. I called and it rang. I was like, oh my God, I'm going to be on the radio. And I got through, and I got to play the competition, and I won £1,000.
Really?
Yeah. I was like, nah. And this was before my whole like law of attraction epiphany. If I'd been applying that, it would have happened ages ago. Yeah.
And this was like, right before Christmas.
It was just before Christmas. I was like, oh, we're gonna have Christmas. I had obviously these grand ideas that I'd be able to like decorate the whole house with £1,000, right? Decorate the house, maybe put some carpet on the stairs, all these kinds of things. What did I buy? A new toilet and flooring for the bathroom. And we had lots of food, obviously.
Yeah.
A new toilet. That was the priority.
Priority. I think the toilet is a very big priority.
A new toilet. I was well happy. I mean, I could have slept on that floor. So yeah, that's what happened. And that's how dire it had been. And now I look back, I think, wow, I actually lived through that. I survived it. And not many people know. And that's not even probably the worst story. I don't know, it probably was. It doesn't even feel like it was that bad. Actually, as I reflect back, I'm like, other people have been in probably more dire situations than that. But that was my situation. Like, I couldn't compare me to anyone else.
Yeah, that was dire for you. So that's what matters. Yeah. But that's still, I think, a story a lot of people can relate to, looking across from your children and just not even, eating yourself and making sure they eat, rice and butter, no meat, that's real.
That's it. That was it.
That was it.
And I know if I didn't have my yoga to go to, I would not have survived at all. I wouldn't have.
What do you think
I wouldn't
you would have done?
When somebody has a friend, you're like, okay, I feel a particular way, and this friend is always going to soothe you and make you feel better.
Yeah.
And then you're like, oh yeah, now what was I worrying about? Like, they've made me feel way better about this situation, like, or I'm not even worrying about that situation. That's what yoga did for me.
If you didn't have yoga, what do you think you would have done though?
Man, I wouldn't like to think, because I just had a baby. Like, she wasn't even 1 at that time, and my cousin was around a lot to help me. She happened to have injured herself, so she was off work. So I was like, I'll take your son to school, and you look after the baby. I can go to yoga. She was like, fine, because she was getting bonding time.
Wow.
with my daughter. So we were helping each other out.
Yeah, it's so important.
It was great.
Yeah. So yoga, you said something about yoga, and I'm wondering if this is because it's part of your story. But when you teach yoga, well, you don't actually teach yoga. You talk about sharing yoga versus teaching yoga. Tell us a bit about where that idea.
It's funny. I think I heard somebody saying, "What's the difference between like a teacher and an instructor or a coach. It was one of those two things they had said. It was just on like an Instagram post. And I was like, that's a really good question, because I'm like, am I really a teacher? Like, what am I teaching them when I go into the yoga class? What am I teaching them? And then when I look back and reflect on what happens in many of my classes, is I'm actually learning from those children in my class. I am learning something. So in actual fact, what really is going on is we're just sharing. We're sharing. So I remember I used to, before classes, I would like be up making these plans, planning these classes like for kids, and being worried that I would miss something out or I wouldn't be able to do something. Like, let me write it down. If I write it down, this class is going to be great. On paper, the class looks great. So I get to the class. It's happened maybe a few times before I ditched the whole thing. I would go to the class and then I'd be like, not trusting myself and peeping over for this little bit of paper. I'm just like, oh my God, I can't teach like this. I can't teach like this, because I'm like, the kids don't even look engaged. They're just staring at me blankly. I'm taking too long in between like postures because I can't remember what's next because I have to stick to my plan. And I'm like, oh, you don't have to stick to the plan. You just need to let it go. Go with the flow. And after a while, when I got bored of this whole planning thing, stayed up late and actually just being tired before I even got to the class, I was like, I'm just going to go and just have a couple of things in my mind. Maybe we'll start with a couple of games. And then that was the whole thing of setting an intention. So before practicing a yoga class, my teacher used to say, set an intention for your class. Maybe you want to dedicate the class to yourself, or maybe you want to dedicate it to somebody else, maybe somebody that you love. Or in actual fact, maybe you want to dedicate it to someone that maybe you don't love so much. Maybe you don't even like them, but maybe they need it. I did that a lot. I dedicated a lot of my classes to people that I felt needed it. I did. And you would hope that energy then vibrates out to them in some way. And so I would go with this whole thing of intention setting before I go to a class. I would plan, but it would be very loose, because actually you don't know what you're going to be met with. This is not just children. This now happens with adults as well. You don't know. They're not going to be the same as last week. I mean, you're probably not the same as you were yesterday.
Yeah.
So how do you know if your plan is going to fit in with what this group is when you arrive?
You know, that's so good, because you're right. Planning does cause me more stress, but it's good to have an outline.
Yeah, plan, but don't get carried away with it.
Because I totally agree. Sometimes, if I've done teaching and speaking, and I have something, but I always pick up on what the group says and go that way. Or if you're speaking at an event and you hear all the other speakers, you might pick up other things from that. So yeah, I like to loosely plan, but I love that about learning.
Yeah, because I honestly, I learn from those kids. So on those days, for example, when I've had this plan and I'm like, okay, I think that class was really rubbish. Like, what did I do wrong? Where did it all go wrong? And then I think about how the group were, and that's where the learning comes in, because it's like, why were they not engaged? It wasn't because of them. It was because of perhaps the way I was delivering it, or the fact that I was trying to stick to this plan and they were just not in the mood for those particular things that I decided had to happen.
Yeah.
It doesn't work like
your agenda.
So sometimes you just have to let the plan go. Even if you go with this plan, you're like, it's just not going to work. That's happened to me lots of times. I'll be like, okay, I'm just going to roll with this game. And then something else will happen. And then the whole thing becomes way more organic. And I find that's what works for me.
Yeah. I love that.
I mean, it's never always perfect, but I'll always learn something from a class every single time.
So that's the kind of framework that you approach the classes from with the kids, with the children and with the adolescent, is setting the intention, being open, know you're going to learn something, and take that all the way and see what happens. Yeah, even if it does flop a bit.
Yeah, even if it flops. And sometimes actually when you look at them, because you think, oh, I thought that one was quite a good thing, or, you know, it might be something you've decided to do and you're like, oh, I thought that was quite good. But based on the reactions on their faces, it defies everything that I'm feeling. Like, I don't think they liked it. And then you get feedback, like I did this morning, from somebody who came to my class on the weekend. It was her very first time. She had never done yoga before. And then I got an email saying she was usually very uncomfortable in settings with new people, trying new activities. But apparently I made her feel very welcome and comfortable. And she came out as if she was floating. That's what she said. She felt like she was floating. I was like, oh. That is so sweet.
That's so beautiful and touching. It makes it worth it. It makes
exactly.
Doesn't it make like all the struggle, the hard times, the time you're like, why am I doing this? It makes it worth it.
Yeah, for sure. And don't get me wrong, I think because over the years my mindset has changed in the way that I approach in the way that I approach life. So that whole thing of you know, being on a low income, I'm still on a low income, but actually I'm happy because I'm on control of it. I'm in control of my income. So basically, if I don't work, I don't earn. So I'm always, I say hustling, I don't really feel like it's hustling. I'm always opening myself to new opportunities, always.
Yeah. I like that you're sharing that even though you have your own business, you're an entrepreneur, your income is still not this like big thing what people may think.
It's not like, honestly, it's not huge, but I'm happy.
Yeah.
I'm happy, and I don't really feel like I've realized that even if I did earn a ton of money, I don't really want to be the person that has a big flashy car and a big flashy house. That just isn't me. Like, I'm all right with my car with the dent in the back because I reversed into a tree. Like, I'm all right with that. I'm just happy because I'm comfortable. As long as I can get by, pay my bills, not have anyone knocking at my door, allow my kids to go to gymnastics or ballet and swimming and, you know, extracurricular activities. I feel like I literally just work for them to do that. But that makes me happy that I'm able to do that. But for me, those are the things that are a priority. And for others, other people have other priorities. But those are mine, like building life experiences in my kids.
That's like more wealthy, the experiences.
For sure.
Yeah. So where can and how can people shower you with love?
If you want to see what I do or just get a little bit of background, you can have a look at my website. I'm at www.nattylittleYogis.com.
And any social media?
Yep. I'm all over social media. This is not by choice, just by design. No, it's actually very, very helpful for growing my business. So I'm on Facebook, Natty Little Yogis. I am on Instagram and by default Twitter because I don't really use Twitter. It's connected. But Instagram, Natty Little Yogis.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I'm not a Twitter person myself. We're going to put all of that in the show notes for you. And if people go on there and see your classes, are they able to contact you to come and work at their studio or do a yoga class for their kids, or how does that work?
Yeah, so if you find me on Insta, I think I've got to contact me on my Insta and my Facebook page. or it will lead you to the website where I've got a booking form. So you can just tap your details in, tell me why you're contacting, and I'll get straight back to you.
So are you just in the London area, or are you going to be?
I'm only in London.
Okay. I was wondering, are you going to go UK and worldwide?
Hey, well, you never say never. So I have been asked to come on a retreat and teach the teenagers and children. So something abroad might be coming up.
Cool.
So we'll keep you in the pipeline.
Yeah, keep pressuring her and pestering her. You never know, she may come. Yeah. Cool.
But currently, yeah, just in London, just in the London area. And I do kind of work around. Sometimes I cover other teachers' classes. I'm covering a class at the Life Centre in Islington this week. And that's like a parent and toddler class. But predominantly, I just teach the teenagers on a Saturday, and on a Monday, I teach 5 to 8 year olds at another local studio.
Love it. Yeah, check her out. I've seen some of the classes and some of the stuff she does. So she's doing amazing stuff. So thank you so much for being on the podcast. It was great having you.
Thank you.
Welcome. If you connected with what you just heard, please subscribe, rate, and review the podcast. You can stay connected by following our Instagram, Authentic Wednesday Podcast, and visiting our website, authenticwednesday.com. Remember, authenticity is a journey, not a destination.